Hello and good evening, everyone. Welcome to the very first Jewellery Diploma Open Evening. Howdy, I'm Jessica Rose, and you can see also a little waving person, Anna Campbell, has joined us as well. And we're also going to be joined by Sally a little bit later, but just thought I'd come on and say hi and welcome everyone. And in terms of the structure, I'm just going to give a little talk about the diplomas and what's involved. Then Anna's going to come and join in and give her kind of perspective as well. And then towards the end, we're going to ask Sally to come on, who is a previous diploma student. She's done lots of courses with us, so she'll be able to tell you all about what that's all about. And we'll also be answering questions towards the end. So diplomas. Diplomas are our most intense and long courses at the London Jewellery School, and they focus very much on being practical, being intense, because we know that a lot of people travel quite a long way to come to the courses. And if you're anything like me, I just like getting a lot out of a day. I don't like to just do like one thing and then okay, that's it. I want to learn lots. So that's the way we've structured the courses, is that it's an intense learning experience. And something that's really good to think about when you're considering doing a diploma is how can you also practice a little bit at home? Because we have lots of days at the jewellery school that will be spread out over time normally. And the more that you can structure in a little bit of home practice as well, the better that the experience is going to be for you. So it's just something to have a think about, and it's something you can build up over time. Then they're supportive. So we are very careful in who we choose to be our diploma mentors, our tutors. We all love jewellery making and support the industry and support people. And Anna will tell you more about this in a bit, but support people to move forwards in their career if that's what they want to do in jewellery making. So it's also about having that. I think that's one of the things that makes us a little bit different, is we really care about people and your experience of learning as well. So it's not just about do this and do that and that's it. It becomes like a little kind of family unit. So often diplomas are taken as a way to launch your career into jewellery making. So a lot of people do them as a career change type thing. So if you've got another career and you're thinking, oh, I'd love to be a jeweller, but I'm not sure, this is a really good way to test the waters and train. Some people do it just for fun, and they don't even want to do a business, and that's absolutely fine as well, you know, because there's always, I love learning, and I think it's always a great thing to do, to invest in yourself and just to grow. It just feels good as a human being to learn new things. So there are 3 different diplomas to choose from, and we'll talk about each one in turn, and I'll bring Anna in as well to give her perspective too. But just a brief overview, there's the Diploma in Creative Jewellery, which was our first diploma, our most in-depth diploma and the longest one that we have. Then there's the Diploma in Silver Jewellery, which came a few years later, and that's more focused on just kind of silvery benchwork. And then there's the Advanced Jewellery Diploma, which people often go on to take after doing one of the first ones. And it's a shorter course, but it's really topping up your skills. So we are the London Jewellery School. For anyone who doesn't know us, we are obviously based in London, which is a wonderful city. And we're based in Hatton Garden, which is really the place to be because it is the jewellery quarter in London. And there's so many reasons why that is a great place for a jewellery school. We have been in other locations before, and we've been in Hatton Garden, we've moved from Hatton Garden, and then we've been back to Hatton Garden. And it is, wherever we go, that's always the best place to be, because you've got all the jewellery shops around you, you've got the casting houses, you've got all the suppliers, and actually on the first day of the diploma courses, we often take people on a tour around Hatton Garden, which is a really nice way to introduce you to everything that you might need for your jewellery business. And I think there's something about being around the atmosphere of Hatton Garden that really helps as a jeweller, just in terms of just soaking it all in, talking to people. So there's something quite special about that and the location, which we're really kind of proud of, and our students really value. So a little bit about the Jewellery School. We are Europe's most active jewellery training centre. So we're open 7 days a week, all year round. The only time we close is for a week at Christmas. So we're pretty hardcore. And there's about 3 to 4 classes a day at the Jewellery School. So we train thousands of students. We've worked out and estimated we've trained over 20,000 students so far. So that's a lot of people in jewellery making, which we're very proud of, because, you know, it's a wonderful thing to be able to share and to spread throughout the industry. We've been established for 10 years. So next year is our 10th birthday. And I was thinking about this today. We did actually start slightly before that, but we count the birthday from when we actually registered the name and the company. So yeah, it's been 10 years already, but next year is our official 10th birthday. So it's a really exciting time to kind of be part of what we're doing. And we're well known in the industry. So most people who know about jewellery making will have heard of the London Jewellery School. And I think that helps when you're looking at what you're going to be training in and having a form of a qualification or a form of kind of certificate. We'll talk a bit more about that side of it in a bit as well. But it's nice to go somewhere where people say, oh, I know those guys. Yeah, I know tutors there, or, you know, it's a nice kind of family, as I said before. And as I mentioned, we're based in Hatton Garden, so it's brilliant. And we're very lucky to have won some awards at the Jewellery School, which we're proud of as well. Feels like I'm just showing off, but it is a lovely place. It's a wonderful place. And people that come there really, I think they really get that, you know, that there's something quite special about the Jewellery School. And I think that's why we've lasted so long and why we grew so quickly in the beginning as well. So yeah, we've won a couple of awards, Professional Jeweller Awards. We've won the NatWest Businesswoman Awards, and we've won some HP Awards where they gave us lots of free computers. That was great, and a few others. And perhaps more importantly, our students have won awards, which we get more excited about because it's kind of passing it on. And Key Sally, we'll talk about that in a bit. In terms of our ethos, our tagline has always been everyone can make jewellery. And it's something that we really believe, that it's not about being amazing already. It's whatever stage you're at, whatever your background is, whoever you are, whatever age you are, you do have to be over 16 because of insurance, but, you know, as long as you're over 16, then we can help you to develop and to learn and to move forwards. And I think that jewellery should be open to everyone. It shouldn't be something that only if you've done a degree and then a master's and then trained for 5 years can you sell jewellery making. I don't believe that at all. I think that as soon as you can get going, get making, get learning, and if you want to start a business as well, I encourage people to really go for that as soon as possible, because that's a whole new area to learn about. So we encourage you to learn about both at the same time if that's something you want to get involved in, because the more you put in, the more you're going to get out. And people love jewellery at all different levels. So whether you like beading or you want to be a master goldsmith or anything in between, for us, it's about just supporting you to get to the next stage. In terms of our ethos, we believe everyone is creative. So I don't know if any of you guys had at school that experience where you were told you were creative or you were mathematical, or you were put into some sort of box and then told what your career would be. I know that I was. I was told I was going to be a fireman, which didn't, because there was like a tick box which said, do you like helping people? Yes. Do you like it when things are not on fire? Yes. And then you know, firemen. So whatever you do, and we have people come to the Jewellery School who have been lawyers, who have been accountants, or who have gone into some kind of career and thought, actually, this is not really what I want. And I did it because it's stable or because of the money or whatever, or because of my parents. And I think that life is too short to do something that you don't enjoy. And yes, starting a jewellery business isn't instant, and you often have to put money in before you get it out. But if it's something that you love and something you want to do, then it's worth working towards. We believe in passion and profit. So again, this kind of follows on from the same thing, that just because you're a jeweler, it doesn't mean you're not going to make any money. And actually a lot of that is to do with mindset, that if you believe that because you're a jeweler, you're not going to make any money, it's probably going to happen. But if you really go for it, and I remember when I first started jewelry making, I think it was my dad that said to me, well, that's a nice hobby, but you won't make any money from it. And I was like, okay, whatever, we'll see. And jewelry's been my full-time career for the past 10 years, and I've lived off it. So it's not true. And that's one of the things that we really believe and we try and install in our students, is that, you can do this. If this is what you want, you can do it. And finally, practical over paperwork. We actually looked at, we'll talk a bit more about the accreditation stuff, like kind of how we do all of that, but we looked at getting officially accredited for the diplomas, and the amount of paperwork that not only we would do, but our students would have to do on every piece we were just like, no, it's not about that. It's about you making, getting to the bench, getting to the beading table, getting on your metal clay and learning, because that's how you improve. And, all the paperwork stuff, for me, it's not interesting. So it's a very practical course. And make lots of mistakes. So we know that people can get nervous about taking on something like a diploma, that maybe I won't be good enough and all those things. All of these courses start at the very beginning. And however much you put in is how much you'll get out, because there's loads of things that you can learn. But if you do join a diploma, come and make as many mistakes as you can. We encourage them, because that's how you're going to learn and that's how you're going to improve. So let's talk about the diplomas. Anna, do you have anything that you wanted to say from my talk so far? And then we'll go into talking about specifically each diploma.
No, I think it was really good what you were saying. I think that makes sense. It is amazing to be located in Hatton Garden. That's kind of an important part of what we are, and you get your nice behind the scenes tour by one of your tutors who can show you all the little buzzers to press to go in to get gemstones and to go to the hall markers and all of that. So yeah, it's a great location. I personally have taught in colleges. I've taught jewelry making in colleges as well as at the jewellery school, and I think that there's a very different feel. I don't know if any of the people who are watching right now have done like college courses or that adult education type things, but I feel there's a different kind of feel to it. And you're right about the paperwork stuff. It's mad. What I like about, we're going to get into this, but what I like about this is that it is a practical course. You're learning new skills and you're practicing new skills, and actually sometimes making mistakes when you've got your tutor on hand to help you. That's the best time to do it, to learn how to deal with things when things go wrong. So it is they're full on courses, they're intensive, but that way you learn.
Yeah, definitely. And you're right, making the mistakes while they're there so then they can fix them or help you to fix them is always a good thing. Great. So we'll start off by talking about the Diploma in Creative Jewellery, which, as I mentioned, was the first diploma that we ever had at the Jewellery School. We've had it for years now. Lots of students, I don't even know how many, but a few hundred at least have gone through the programme. And you won't be able to see this, but I've just pulled up the kind of structure of it. So it's 3 terms and it's over the course of a year. There is an intensive option as well, which is in the summer, which is like a kind of very intense 7 or 8 weeks. But what most people do is the whole year, and it's 1 day a week, and you learn a different kind of topic every week, and all sorts of things are covered. So key topics are beading and wire work. Then there's a lot on silversmithing and stone setting. There's metal play. You learn about enameling, working with gold, drawing and the design side of things. You also learn quite a lot on wax carving, resin and perspex, and jewelry business and photography. And just going back to some of them, we mix it up. So each term you'll cover different areas so that you have a little bit of a break before you go on to doing, say if you've done some metal clay, you'll have a bit of a break before you then go on to doing the more advanced metal clay. which is where the practice really comes in. If you're able to do a little bit at home, and we encourage you to have a little setup at home where you can do that. Not everyone can, you know, some people can't, and that's fine. You can still do the course, but it's something that we really kind of encourage people to do if they can. Then each term, there's a workshop day, which is just a day in the workshop where you can finish up pieces. So if you're not able to have any kind of setup at home, you can come in and use the equipment. And there's also a marking day. So Anna, do you just want to tell people a little bit about marking and what's involved in that and how the course is structured in that way?
Sure. So for every class that you take, there you get a set of marking criteria for the things that you need to make within that session. So the things that you make are made during the class. Sometimes there may be some finishing off you want to do at home and all of that kind of stuff, but generally they're the things that you make during the class. And it tends to be, it depends on the you know which course it is, but tends to be 2 or 3 projects that are just showing that you can do certain things. So showing certain techniques. And the marks are, you know, you can, for full marks, you'll look what I'm looking for, because I'm one of the assessors on the course. You're looking for really, you know, it's the finishing side of things that you would be happy to put this on for sale or something like that. So we're looking at those kinds of things. So in the beginning, we start off with the beginners courses, and you know, the level of the pieces that you're making for those will be a little bit lower. But then when you get into the more intermediate and more advanced courses, the expectation of what you're going to be doing for finishing is going to be bigger. What's nice about that is that it might be about a particular technique. So for example, on the piercing and finishing pieces, you know, you have to show certain techniques about how you would do like a mirror finish and a satin finish and all of those different types of things. But it still allows you and gives you the chance to do your own designs. So one thing I love about it is that every student has their own designs, you know, has their own aesthetic. And even though you're learning the same techniques, because you're doing your own pieces and you're designing your own pieces, they're all very different, which is fantastic. So the marking day at the end of every term, you have your workbench day to kind of finish off any pieces that need finishing off. You've got the whole day, 10 till 5, to come in and just do your work. And then the week after that, you come in for a marking day and you'll sit down just one-to-one with your tutor, and the tutor will look at the pieces that you've made and will give you feedback, and will, you know, face-to-face you'll chat about the marks that you've received, and a little bit about the courses and what you've enjoyed. And it's a really good opportunity to talk to your mentor and your assessor about, you know, what you're hoping for the next term, and, you know, any questions that you might have at that stage. So that is done one-to-one. We book it out for a whole hour for each person, and it really does kind of give you that every term you have that one-to-one time with your mentor and assessor at that stage.
Yeah, and I think that time, you know, because you're a mentor as well, but that time together, do students really find that that's helpful in terms of getting that one-to-one feedback on their work, perhaps in private? Because I guess in the groups are very small. This is not something we've come on to yet, but there's a maximum of 8 students per class, so they're very small. So within the course of a day, you'll be able to get feedback a lot anyway. But perhaps that private feedback where you can just kind of sit down with someone and go through your pieces and say, okay, well, you know, these are some things that we can work on, and these are things that you're doing really well, and this is how you can progress. Is that something that people kind of use to then further what they're doing?
I think so. Definitely, I would chat to Sally about her experiences of that in a bit. Yeah. But certainly, I really value that time. As a mentor on the course, people can email questions all the time, or, you know, at any time they want, if they've got certain things they want to discuss. And obviously, you have the thing about the course is that you've got your expert tutors. We've all got our own expertise, and that's what we teach on. And I wouldn't teach on this course, but I will teach on that course. So it's great to have those tutors. And also because when you're on the diploma, you also kind of get to see some of the tutors many times as well, which I think is nice, because you kind of get to know the different tutors as well. But certainly I think I really value that time of being able to just sit down with people and just have a look at what they've made, talk about the kinds of designs that they want. I find it interesting. I always ask, like, what's been your favorite material from this term? And you know, often it will change, like the second term or the third term, they'll have a different thing that they like. And I think that's part of the benefit of trying so many different kinds of materials and techniques. You have the chance to kind of try that out and practice. But yes, certainly I feel like the fact that you have somebody who is a jeweler, our jewelers tend to have their own businesses, and you know, maybe do different kinds of things, but can advise on quite specific, you can give quite specific advice for people too.
Yeah, I think that's so invaluable, is having that one-to-one time with a jeweler. And you know, most of them have been in the industry for 10, sometimes 20 years. So just tapping into that wealth of knowledge, and I don't think you get that really anywhere else, that just being able to sit down and say, like, okay, how do I do this? And you know, the business side of it as well, like you said, they all run their own jewelry businesses, so finding out what's working for them, what isn't, and you know, what any feedback that you want on that. So brilliant. Okay, great. So we'll carry on. So they're the key topics in the Diploma in Creative Jewellery. And really this one was developed to kind of cover all of our classes. It's not every single class, but it's like as much as possible, it's all the classes. So it's really like a whole foundation in jewellery making. So if you're not sure what area you want to focus on, this is a really great place. Or if you know what area you want to focus on, but you want a broad range, then this is a really good one for you. It's also the longest one, so it's going to be the most making time. It's going to be the one where you learn the most. And although we have a diploma in silver, which we'll talk about in a minute, most of that is also in here as well. So there's still tons of silver, because I know some people think because it's creative, they're like, oh, that's the one without silver. No, there's tons of bench work in here too. It's just that there's other stuff as well. So if you want to kind of cover it all, this is a really good option. It runs for 1 year and 3 terms, and we follow the kind of school terms. So there's a break over summer. So, you know, if you've got kids or you're going away, then that's fine. And we give you all the dates in advance so that you can kind of block out. It's always the same day every week. So if it's on a Monday, it's always going to be on a Monday. So, because I know for some people they're working and they have to get time off or schedule their life around it. So just so that you know when it is. And the day courses, they run from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. each day. So I
think that for me is one of the big benefits. We've had people travel actually from quite a long way away. I had a student on my course who came every week from Newcastle. I also had someone who was a nurse who came every week from Poole in Dorset, and she used to get the coach at 3 a.m. She was used to working night shifts, so I don't know how she did it, but anyway. But the fact that it's just 1 day a week. There is an intensive course which we'll talk about later, but it's 1 day a week. So what's nice about it is having that 1 day, that dedicated time. A lot of times, if you do a degree or something like that, you get bits here and there, but they don't always manage to all fit the time in all in one go. So we purposefully have done that so that we do have people who are working or maybe who have childcare issues. So it just means that that's that 1 day, and that's when you come and and it's, you know, even your marking day and your workbench day, it's still the same day.
Yeah. Keep it really to 1 day a week so that you can still have a life in other ways. And it's beginner through to professional is what we say and what we aim for. So you don't need any experience. If you've done other courses before and you've got some experience, that's great. You can still, do the beginners ones again, because it just means because our courses are so intensive, if you do them twice, it's okay. because you'll just move a bit faster each time and work on kind of refining things a little bit more as well. But our aim is to get you to a professional level by the end, so that you can sell your work, so that you can go and work for another jeweler and they'll say, can you clean up this casting? And you'll be like, yeah, absolutely. Or, you know, so that you can do all the things that you need to do to be able to move forward with this. And here's some student work, just to give an example of some of the variety. So we've got some resin bangles and beady kind of fashion stuff, silver, stone settings. This one was really fun, the bee resin bangle. So one of the students cast these bees into brass, carved them out of wax, I think, and then used resin. So it's nice to mix materials as well. And I think one of the nice things about learning all different types of making is that you can combine them in a way that makes your work really unique. So it's not just make a silver ring or something that, you know, everyone can do. It's like, oh, but I can add in this and that and mix the media. These ones are really interesting. This was a student who actually did fused glass. So she made all these cabochons. They're not actually stones, they're pieces. So she made the pieces inside and then used the silversmithing skills to do the stone settings and create the pieces and the bangles. And this one's a perspex piece, which is really lovely as well. So that's a diploma in creative jewellery. So move on to the diploma in silver, which is, it's a shorter course. It's 2 terms. So I think it's 28 weeks. It's either 26 or 28 weeks. And it's really focused on the silversmithing side of things. So if you know that that's what you want to do and you don't particularly want to do anything else, then this is a really good option for you. It is shorter, so there's less teaching days. But, you know, if you've got less time, then maybe that works for you. It's kind of different for everyone. In these ones, there's also a personal project each term. So you have a little bit of time to put aside and create your own pieces. So you learn the techniques throughout weeks 1 to 9 in the term, and then weeks 10 and 11 you work on your personal project with the support of a tutor. Then you have workbench days and marking days as well. So I don't know if there was anything you wanted to share about the silver diploma, Anna.
I think the thing to say about this one is, yes, you're focusing very much on the silversmithing techniques, still coming from beginners. So if you have done some before, that's absolutely great. You were going to kind of like recap those techniques that you have. You do things like stone setting. We also include wax carving within this, which is a method that a lot of jewelers use when they are silversmiths. So you'll learn a little bit about wax carving and the process of casting. You have enameling as well in this one. So yeah, as Jess says, this is the one really, if you're very specific and very targeted just on working on silver and silversmithing. The creative diploma has all of those things in as well, but it then also includes things like resin, glass, perspex, beading, metal clay. So it has 3 terms instead of 2 terms. So that's kind of in addition rather than instead of. But certainly this has been a very popular option. People who, have maybe done silversmithing at colleges or done some beginners things have said, yes, that, this is what I want to work on. So this is the one I'm going to choose.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we mentioned, 26 weeks, 2 terms, focused on traditional techniques. And again, it's starting from beginner and getting you through to professional. And here's some student work. So you can see some of the pieces that people have made. Some of those are in wax, which have been cast. Some of them are straight into silver, and some stone setting and fusing, granulation, bits and pieces like that. If you want to see more student work, you can see it on the Jewellery Diploma website. It's jewellerydiplomas.com. So hopefully you guys would have seen that already. But if you want to see any more, we try and add pieces to there as well. Then finally, there's the Advanced Diploma. So the Advanced Diploma is a shorter course, and we created it because people did the diplomas and then they'd say, what can I do next? Especially after a little while, they say, I really miss coming to the jewellery school, I miss learning, I miss doing that training, because not only is it learning, but I think it's the inspiration you get from being around a group of people and just the vibe, and it just gives you energy. So the advanced diploma was a way of us saying, okay, let's take some advanced techniques. You've already got all of the other stuff down. Let's focus on them. And it's 2.5 weeks. So it's kind of like a solid block of time that you could potentially take off work if you were working, or maybe you'll have a jewelry business by then. And so therefore you can kind of schedule it in and just focused on more advanced work. So in this one, you look at how to create more advanced designs, because everything starts with design. So even if you have great skills, if you don't know how to create the designs to match them, then that's going to be tricky. So we start with that, look at more advanced wax carving, look at how to mix media more, because as you get more advanced, there's things that people often need to do. Stone setting, how to develop those skills, and there's always lots to learn there. And also things like how to recycle your silver and how to work in your workshop, you know, because once you've done jewelry making for a while and you make at home, you might have some things that come up that you think, oh, how do I, you've got this scrap silver, how do I melt it down? Or somebody's come with a wedding ring and they want me to melt it down and make it into something else. How do I do that? So those kind of more advanced skills that you might need help with. And then the half week is workbench days and marking. So it's kind of getting everything done and dusted.
Yeah, so for this one, you come Monday to Friday, 10 till 5. You're there. It's your working week for 2.5 weeks. So yeah, we've kind of made it that intensive time, which we've seen. Well, Sally's done it, who's going to come and talk to us in a little bit as well. She can probably tell you a bit more. But we've found that people have found that with that course that they've enjoyed that kind of immersion, as it were, in the techniques, and being able to really just come in and go for it, and just kind of really get to grips with it. So
yeah. And
it also, the other thing to say, sorry, it's good for those who've done either the creative or the silver diploma. It's a really good next step for both.
Yeah, and I think you're right. It's really at that level you really need to get into focusing, don't you? Because there's no messing about when you're doing multiple channel settings and all sorts of things like that. But you know, you've got to the stage where you feel comfortable with that, hopefully, and then we make you a little bit uncomfortable by pushing you out of your comfort zone, and then you get back into it. That's how you learn. But yeah, it's always a really exciting one. It's exciting to see what people make from that course as well. So yeah, it's about developing your skills, giving your creativity a boost, and also making new contacts, something we haven't spoken about much, but often the diploma groups get very close because they spend either a whole year together or 7 extremely intense weeks together. And I think something that's really nice about it is that community of your peers that you can connect with and learn from. And it's a really nice thing. And often they stay in touch, don't they, afterwards, Anna, and they sort of, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Get withdrawal symptoms at the end. No. But yeah, so it's nice to see people come back for the advanced diploma. I think sometimes they come back together as well, which is always nice. So what makes us special before we bring Sally on? So some things we talked about. I think small class sizes, it's really unique. So there is nowhere that I'm aware of that does a course like this in such a small size. Most places it will be 14, 20 people, sometimes more. So having the small class size makes such a difference to how much you can learn. And I know, because when I first started jewelry making, I did some adult ed type things, which I enjoyed. But, you know, it took me like 6 weeks to learn how to make a cabochon. And, you know, it was too slow for me. I was like, you know, I just want to get stuck in and get to it. And I think that when I started the jewellery school, I really wanted something that I would love and that people like me would love. And I think the small class sizes just mean that you can get that attention. If you need help, you can get help, and then you can progress on much quicker. It's practical and hands-on learning, which we've talked about. So often people ask us, you know, what's the difference between this and a degree, or how do I choose? And I think that, you know, a lot of people come to us after doing a degree and say, I didn't learn stone setting, or I didn't learn like some practical skills, so I want to come and learn those. Because for me, a degree is more about the degree experience. So if you're young and you want to make friends and all of that, you know, there's a whole culture that goes with doing a degree, which is great. And that is a different experience. It's also about learning about communication and writing essays. You know, those things aren't the things that you'll learn on one of these diplomas. These are all about, if you want to make jewelry, if you want to become a jeweler, start a jewelry business, or just spend lots of time making, then that's what we do. So we just get down to it. And you know, you might have read a little bit about my story, but I don't have a degree in jewelry. And I decided that I didn't want to do one when I decided I wanted to become a jeweler, but I wanted to do lots of short courses like the ones we do at the Jewellery School, which is kind of where the idea of the Jewellery School came from. And, you know, as I've said, I've worked in jewellery making as my full-time career for over 10 years. And so you don't need a degree to become a jeweler. So I'm not saying there's anything wrong with degrees because they're great for other reasons. But that's the kind of difference between the two. Is it's just very practical, bench time, work time, and all about making and learning. So
I just want to say as well one thing: we have no essays. Okay,
no essays,
no dissertations. It's all about you showing your tutor the pieces that you've made, and you have criteria for each piece. I'm not going to do too much detail, but you have criteria for each piece that you've made. You know exactly what it is you're being assessed on, and that's that. Basically, there is one thing for technical drawing where you do a technical drawing, but apart from that, it's about the things that you make.
Yeah. So if you're not a fan of essays or writing, or you're dyslexic or anything like that, it doesn't matter. It's all practical pretty much. And it's really supportive. So, you know, all the people that we hire at the Jewellery School, as I said, love jewellery making. It's their passion, it's their hobby, they're teachers. So it's, you know, it's all about that. So if you're struggling with something, the chances are one of us have been through it before. If there's something, you know, that you've tried to solder it a million times and it's not working, we understand. We know that it's not always easy. we know it's not always easy, and we're not saying but we're there for you, basically. And I think that, you know, I always come to the exhibitions at the end of the year. I often see students, but I'm not a mentor, so I don't see all of them every week, but they always talk about their mentors and the relationship that they have with them and how supportive the tutors are. So that's something, well, I'll let Sally talk about it, but I know the tutors are great, so that's always good. So excellent tuition. So not only are they lovely, but they're also very good at what they do and highly skilled. And then something that we don't probably talk about that much, but is quite a big thing, is that all the materials are included pretty much. There are a couple of little things to do with like wax casting where you choose your own weight and things, but 99% of your materials are included, and that is a lot. It's a lot of silver, there's bits of gold, there's, you know, a lot of things. So in terms of cost, we'll come on to talking about the pricing in a little bit, but everything's included. So you don't really need to spend anything else. It is a good idea to have a setup at home, which will probably cost you a couple of £100. You don't have to do that. I would encourage you to do it. I think you'll get more out of the course if you do. But other than that, you know, and they're your tools, which you'll keep for life and whatever, all the materials are included. So that's a big bonus. And the course was created by makers, for makers. So it's, as I said, all about the making. So what can a diploma do for you? I think one of the key things is committing the time to your making, because a lot of us have the best intentions to, oh, I'll do this when I get time, or I'll sit down at the bench when I get time, or I'll make those projects when I get time. And I think having that one day a week where it's dedicated to that is a really good thing to be able to do. It can fast track your career into jewellery. So you can learn jewellery making on your own. Of course, there's a lot of incredible jewellers that are self-taught, but doing a course like this is going to propel you forwards in a massive way, and having that contact with tutors every week. It can help launch or grow your jewellery business, which is something I'm very passionate about. And we have Jewellers Academy, which is our sister company which is all about supporting people to run jewelry businesses. So, you know, you guys can be as involved in that as well as you like. And we're the same people. So if you need help with jewelry business, you know where to come, because there are business courses included actually in the course, but we know that a business is an ongoing thing. So we've got a really supportive online community and lots of things to support you with that too. And as we mentioned, friendship. So it's a nice way to meet people and connect with your fellow jewelers, growth and personal development. A little word on exhibitions. So we have an annual diploma exhibition. And in previous years, we have done it in the jewellery school, but next year we are going to be doing it in a venue. So it'll either be like a gallery space or a nice venue in London. And that's a really nice thing to take part in at the end of your course, because it's a way of showcasing your work. It's a way of taking part in an exhibition. So if it's your first time exhibiting, then we're there to sort of support you through that. And of course, invite your friends and family to see what's going on. And if there's any press or anyone else you want to invite, then that is always a really nice kind of event too. And it's where you get your certificates and find out your marks. Because there are levels, aren't there, Anna, in terms of distinction, merit? How does that, just very briefly,
So first of all, the exhibition is marked. So it is 20% of your mark for the creative and for the silver diploma. I believe it's 20% of your marks. So we're not going to go into all the detail about that, because you'll learn about that if you decide to choose to do the course. But you will be kind of exhibiting a collection separate to the other marking that you do. You get a percentage mark, and we give pass, merit, distinction. So it means that you because you see all of your marks all the way through, you know how you're doing, and you know whether you're up for a distinction, which is 90% or above. And you know, so you kind of get to see the you know what kind of where you're at. But 20% is quite, you know, it could shift things one way or the other. But the exhibitions are great. We actually, as assessors, on the exhibitions, you're actually marked by more than one tutor. We do it as a group. So, you know, we're looking at a lot of different things, not just the pieces, but also the way that you've presented the pieces and that kind of thing too. But I think the exhibition's just a lovely kind of like full stop almost at the end of your course. It's something to work towards, but it's nice to have that time with your family and friends to just celebrate what you've managed to achieve through the course. So
definitely, yeah, they're wonderful events. So
they
just
are.
seeing what everyone comes up with as well, because everyone has their own unique style. Even though you're learning all the same things, the variety of what people create at the end is incredible. So it's yeah, it's always good. Great. Okay, so a little bit on dates and fees and how to apply, and then we're bringing on Sally. So the Diploma in Creative Jewellery is the 1-year course, and you can pay in 4 instalments of £975. So it's 3,900. And that course involves, I think we worked out around, oh, sorry, I'm editing something by accident. I think it works out at around £600 to £700 of that is your materials, so your silver and all the other bits and pieces. And that, so of course you can pay it throughout the year, and that one starts on Monday the 7th of January. And then the Diploma in Silver Jewellery starts on Tuesday the 15th of January, and that one is 3 installments of around 1,100 each, and it adds up to 3,250. And I didn't work out the material cost for that one, but it's probably not, it's a little bit less than the other one. And then there's the Advanced Jewellery Diploma, which is a shorter course. It's the 2.5 weeks, and that's 1,200, and that runs in September 2019. So we run one of those every year. So that's the breakdown of the dates and the fees. And then there is the intensive option. So the intensives run throughout the summer, and these are really good for people, especially if they're overseas or if they can't take time off in stages, but they can in a chunk, or if they're in between jobs or whatever. So the diploma in creative jewellery is the same. They're both the same. They're both the same fees, and the diploma in creative jewellery starts Monday the 22nd of July, and it's taught 5 days a week for 7 weeks. So you've got to have your Weetabix on that one. It's very intense. We make no qualms about that. It's for people who really want to do it in an intense way, because each day is a new day, and we're going for it. The same with the Silver Jewellery Intensive. That starts on Monday the 3rd of June, and it's taught 5 days a week for 7 weeks as well. So they're the intensive ones, and they always get booked up. So if you do want to do a summer intensive, I'd encourage you to book early, because we often have people try and come a bit later, and there's no spaces. And just to go on to,
we just do that. So the intensive we just do once a year. We do them in the summer. We have to obviously book the studio time out for that time, so that we aren't able to do that multiple times in the year. So because we can't then run the other diplomas, so it's run in the summer holidays, basically, when the other diplomas are not running. I was a mentor on the intensive course. I have been. I'm a mentor at the moment on the Monday, with the Monday group, who are just finishing this. I'm marking their work next week, so their final term, and then we've got the new people coming through. So yeah, it's the intensive is intense, but as we say, it is really good. We've had people come and kind of stay in London. I can think of a few people who've come over. I think this year we had someone from the Bahamas. When I was a mentor, I had somebody who came over and was staying here from Germany. So it's good if you do need to travel and you just want to just be here, and just kind of do the whole thing through. So yeah, it's a good option for that.
Yeah, different options, absolutely. Right, and just to talk briefly about the spaces, so there are 8 spaces in each course, and as I mentioned, once they're gone, they're gone. We can't ever put more than that in a course, because that's one of the key things, is that it's a small class size, and we want to make sure that people really get the value of that. And I know for the January start dates, there's a couple coming up, one on Monday the 7th, one on Tuesday the 15th. We've already got bookings in both of those courses, and I think the silver one is almost half full already, and the diploma one has some bookings in as well. So if you're thinking about doing them, I would apply as soon as possible, because the first stage, we'll talk about it in a minute, but is putting an application in, and then we kind of go through and sort out the booking as long as we feel like we're both a right fit for each other. But yeah, if you're interested, don't leave it to the last minute. Sometimes there's places at the last minute, but often there aren't. So it's a good thing to kind of get cracking with as soon as possible. And we talked about this a little bit. It's the practical alternative to a degree, or for some people, they're not even thinking about a degree. It's just the next stage in their career, in their life, and something that they want to do to further themselves. So to apply,
say one more thing about the degree thing. I mean, I worked for a university, and before the tuition fees came in, and then kind of when the tuition fees came in, and I think, you know, in that respect, having worked in both places, you get this very intensive training for the year. But you really are very focusing on learning those skills, and that's really what we're there to do. So I feel like it's a great option for those who are really wanting to learn.
Yeah, and it's great to have that perspective as well, isn't it? Seeing the different sizes. Before you start a course, it's so hard to know, you know, what. And we have a lot of people come in that say, "Should I do this? Should I do that?" And but I think you've probably got from our messaging today that if it's about making for you, if it's about learning to be a great jeweler, that's what our focus is how can we get you to be the best jeweler that you can be. And we ask you about your goals, and that's one of the things in the polls, you know, do you want to start a business? Do you want to? And I think one of the nice things as well about the small group is that we can then help you with those goals. So it's not that we've got hundreds of people, or thousands of people that you're just another number. But we see you every week. We know you. You'll know the manager. You'll meet me. You might meet Anna. She's based in Edinburgh now. If she's your mentor, you'll meet her. and you know, you can ask us, like, I'm doing this. How do I progress? And we're here to help you. So we want you to do well, and we try and make sure that you've got options for that. So if you'd like to apply, there is a button on, I've put it on here as well, which says apply for a diploma. It's a really short form. It's not a commitment necessarily, so you can apply and then change your mind, but it's the first step. So and we do it so that we can screen people a little bit to make sure that you're right for, you know, we don't want someone on a diploma who's not right for it, and we want to make sure you get the best out of that. But it's not about skill, because you can be a complete beginner. It's more about wanting to do it, and you know, the commitment as well, because we want you to complete it and be part of all of that. You can also call or email anytime if you've got any questions. So we'll send you the slides afterwards, which have all these details in. But if you'd like to apply, you can go ahead and do it now, if you like, while you're listening to the questions, and Sally, or you can save the link and do it when you're ready. As I mentioned, there's only 8 spaces per course. So once they're gone, they're gone. And you know, we like having lots of different people on the course. So it doesn't matter what age you are, where you're from, what your background is. Everyone is very welcome. So we say that a diploma is a life-changing course that can help you set up your jewellery career, but we don't want you to just take our word for it, which is why we'd like you to meet some of our students, and I'll be bringing Sally on in just a moment. Before I do, we also wanted to tell you about another student. We had lots of students to tell you about, but we decided to put it down to 2 so that you're not here all night. So Zoe Porter, who actually
Carry on.
Go for it. Sorry. Won the Jewel Fund this year, which is an award that we do at Jewellers Academy, where we give away £1,000 to 2 jewellers to help them grow their jewellery businesses. So that's something you guys could apply for, whether you do the diploma or not. She was an advanced diploma in jewellery graduate. You can check out her website, and she started her own jewellery business, and she works to commission. She does a lot of wedding rings, engagement rings, and started doing collections. She works in wax and silver. You can see some of her pieces here. And yeah, she lives in New Zealand, so she came over to do it, which is wonderful. But that's just one of our students who's graduated from the jewellery school. Then, of course, there's the wonderful Sally Colston, who we've been talking about, who we'll bring on. And she is a diploma in creative jewellery graduate with distinction. Hooray, well done, Sally. So she graduated in 2015, and then she also did the advanced diploma in 2017. And we're very proud of the fact that she won. She's won some awards. She won the F. Hines High Street by Design competition in 2015, just after she finished the diploma, I think. And her work was sold in their 116 shops, which is an incredible achievement. So well done for that. So without further ado, let me find Sally in the list and invite her on. She's
won the other award as well. There's one more.
There's one more slide.
Yeah.
Okay, one more slide, sorry. Oh, and the other award, she's won the Silver Award at the Goldsmith Crafts and Design Council, which is a very highly established award for 2D fashion jewellery category. And you can check out her website at theclerkenwelljeweller.com, and you'll get an idea of why she's so amazing. So she's going to be joining us very. I think I can get rid of Elsa.
Here I am. Hello.
Hi, Sally.
Hi.
Welcome on. First of all, thank you so much for doing this, Sally, because I know that it's very brave. Because you know, as a student, not everyone always wants to be live online. But yeah, to start off, do you just want to tell us a bit about yourself and why you chose to do a diploma?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a graphic designer by training and by trade. And for my sins, I've been doing it for 30 years. So I had always wanted to do silversmithing, but when I applied for college, diploma, not degree, I'm a big advocate of diplomas over degrees, which is a bit contentious, but I ended up doing graphic design as a diploma. because I was too young to do the silversmithing course at the time. Then you have to fast forward to, I think, 2013, when I very first did jewellery as a course, and have become a course addict to an extent from there, but absolutely love it. So yes, I've got a design background, but I had no experience whatsoever in producing jewellery. I knew nothing. I was scared of fire. So, you know, there were lots and lots that I needed to learn, and hence joining these ladies at the jewellery school.
Great. And what was it like in terms of like day to day, being on the diplomas, both the creative and the advanced? What was the experience like for you?
I think, just to take one step back, it is a big commitment to join the course, and for me it was a case of wanting to prove that I had the ability to learn, to be in a position where I could concentrate on jewellery, actually bring things to life. So day by day, firstly, it is a hugely intense process. So you do become very reliant on the people around you, not just your tutors, but I think you've both mentioned how important the people that you're on the course with are. And you really do. You're kind of wedded together. And it's, for that, I think it's a fabulous experience, because you help each other. I loved the fact that there were jewellery techniques that I hadn't even thought of that I had the chance to do. Like many people, you don't go into a course knowing exactly where you're going to be at the end of it. You want to experience as much as possible to find out. So day by day, I got more confident. I made loads of mistakes, some of them quite dangerous, but that was part of the experience. And for me, it gave me confidence, working with great people, surrounded by great people, with fire. It was great.
We like the fire. We like the fire.
Fire. So,
And it's many questions, Sally.
So,
Well, I mean, obviously she had the best mentor ever.
yeah. Hannah was my mentor, if you hadn't have picked up on that, people who are watching.
No,
Yeah.
I remember actually your group was quite an interesting group, wasn't it? I mean, I feel like everyone in the group that you were in had a kind of a part of career before.
Without doubt, yeah, they did.
Which is not always the case. Sometimes we do have like school leavers coming in, but a lot of the time we do have people who have done other things and are kind of coming to retrain and things like that. So yeah. And that you're also, it's very unlikely you're all going to be from the same background, same experience, same age. So it's a baptism of fire for all of us. We're all in the same place to concentrate on one thing, and it makes all the difference because you're not being distracted. You get home and the kids are shouting and all the other stuff. But I managed to take time off of work and just concentrate for that one day a week, as it was with the creative diploma, and totally immerse myself, which I think, Anna, you used the phrase, you immerse yourself. And that's your opportunity. Knowing you'll be back next week. I was thinking about it from 5 o'clock on Monday until 10 o'clock the following Monday, because I really wanted to make it real, I suppose, not just think about it, but do it. So it's vital. Absolutely.
Did you like see the diploma and then immediately join, or was it something that you thought for a while?
No. Like most everybody watching this, I had practical considerations, financial considerations. I didn't have a pot of money I was sitting on. I had to make absolutely sure that if I was going to pay for this, I would commit to this. So I think you end up with a kind of, I wouldn't even say it's pros and cons, because the pros were outweighing the cons the second I came across the diploma. But you just do sit back and think about, I'm going to dedicate time to this, and I've got to really, really want to do it. And I do think that's incredibly important. You don't dip in, I don't think, to the diploma, you commit. So loved the idea of it, and then thought about it for a short while, and then tried to find the money, then found the money and turned up on the Monday. So.
No, we're so glad you did. And yeah, if any of you guys have questions for Sally, please do ask away. I know we've got other questions. I'm going to ask you a few more, Sally, just to
okay, go on.
But then we'll pass over to, if you have any questions for any of us, for Anna, for me, for Sally, please feel free to ask, and we'll get to those. Yeah, I wanted to ask you, what was your favourite part of the diploma?
I've got to be honest, I had a bit of a shocker on this, because I'd gone in with a slightly, I don't want to just sit there and wire wrap all the time. I had a bit of a snobby thought on that, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. And metal clay was a real eye-opener, because I'd never come across it before. So I thoroughly enjoyed those particular disciplines, because I actually, one, I wasn't expecting to, and one I knew nothing about. The most enjoyable bit for me were later on with the bench days, when I could do it on my own, which I know sounds very basic, but there is nothing better than just being able to sit and have the confidence to produce a piece of jewellery. You know there's people around you can ask, but you are responsible for your space and for your production. And that is incredibly rewarding. It really, really is, because you know all of that learning is starting to conduit into you being able to do this. I sit at my kitchen table. I haven't got a workshop or anything like that. I work at my kitchen table. And I can. And it's because of building that confidence through the course. Yeah.
Right. I wouldn't have had you down as wire wrapping being your favourites. That's exciting.
No, and I know I've just announced this in a Comcam, which worries me slightly now, but yeah, I loved it. I really did enjoy it, and I wasn't expecting to enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's recorded forever.
I think one of the things about the creative jewellery as well is you do get to try things you probably wouldn't have tried. Exactly. But even if you don't necessarily think this is the thing I'm going to do forever, it still feeds into your design ideas. And
absolutely right, Anna. Yeah, and that I have used more techniques from the wire wrapping on the work that I do than I was expecting to do, because those basic techniques started to give me thoughts within silversmithing that I probably wouldn't have thought of it. It wouldn't have occurred to me without learning those skills. And you adapt all the time. There cannot be a jeweller alive who goes, I made that when I was 20 and 30 years, I'm still doing that. They may have a style, but they won't be doing exactly the same thing. And I think that's really healthy. And I think the course gave me an insight into different areas. I loved it.
And Sally, you've done really well. I know you're extremely modest. I know you're extremely modest, but you have done very well. You've won multiple awards. You've got a distinction, which not many people get. And I've seen your work, and it's stunning. What do you think has allowed you to, or not allowed you, but helped you to do so well? Is it about the work you've put in? Is it about, what is it? How can people really get the most out of it, do you think?
I'd say it's two things. There's the practical. If you feel inspired to do it, really and truly do it. It sounds a very obvious thing to say, but lots of things get in the way of just giving it a go. Yes, there are going to be mistakes, and some of them are quite spectacular, and then they're made an awful lot of the time. But I don't really the diploma helped me with confidence, as I've mentioned, to actually get on and do it. And that has carried. So doing it a lot, and as ridiculously fluffy as it sounds, get into it and enjoy it. You know, it's not a chore. The reason you choose to do jewellery is to make those mistakes, is to discover what you're good at and then massage it. And that's all I've done. I have a design background, but graphic design really is a world away from jewellery. Yes, I've brought in some style from graphics because that's embedded after 30 years. But as a graphic designer coming to jewellery, I've only brought some thinking. I had no practical experience. That's what I have to constantly hone. That's what I have to do. You know, you get your hands dirty, and yeah, I've got thumb muscles now. just do it, I suppose. So that's, I think
one thing for me as well, that maybe you can kind of attest to a little bit, is that the course, we've said a bit about it, but the course is for everyone. So people who are younger, people who are older. I mean, in your course, actually, men outnumbered women.
Yes, they
do, particularly. So, you know, men and women, younger, older, you know, retired, whatever situation you're in, the course can be for you.
Absolutely, without doubt. Absolutely, without doubt. And my group was a brilliant example of that. You know, we had such a mixed bag of interests and styles, and you know, don't judge a book by its cover to an extent. But there was a man there who he kind of was quite gruff and very East End and a bit today. He produced some of the most, I don't know if you remember, ladies,
yeah,
but he produced some of the most delicate work I have ever seen. It was stunning. And then we had a man who just pushed together silver. It was the most brutal design work in many ways, but brilliant. You know, I sat there in the middle of this really quite, this pair of quite amazing designers. Neither of them had any design experience. I was the only one. And they'd look at me and go like, expecting a bit more from you, designer. You know, it's a leveler, putting it simply, and everybody brings something to it, no question. So it was great.
Absolutely.
Yeah, wonderful. That's so helpful. Thank you for sharing some of that with us.
Can I just one more thing? You also, after a couple of years, decided to do the advanced diploma as well.
Yeah.
What kind of prompted you to think to do that one?
There was a couple of things. I kind of disappeared for a year. We, my family and I went travelling, something we aimed to do for many, many, many years, but managed to do it. I had lots and lots of inspiration, but I got rusty. And I desperately wanted to get back. I suppose there's an element of comfort. You can come back into a course because you do so many as well. But, you know, for me, the advanced diploma was to remind me of why to do, you know, I wanted to do jewellery, but also I was rusty. I needed a sharpener, and that was a sharpener without doubt. It was great. It was healthy hard work, and I loved it. So that's why.
I like that. Healthy hard work.
Healthy hard work. There you go.
On the website.
That's always the goal. Yeah, no, it's interesting to see how, because some people go straight onto the advanced, some people take some time out and come back. And you're right. It's a nice like addition for when you're ready for it.
I liked having the gap, I must be honest. I think that partly because in between time, I had done some things that I thought, I need a bit more on that. I need a little bit more help. I need a bit more experience of it. Now that, of course, you can work through yourself, but the advanced course covered an awful lot of the things. I think, because you guys know, that does take quite a bit of hard work, and that repeat. everything in the advanced course is really, really good. So yeah, I got a lot out of it.
Great.
Wonderful. Thank you. So I know we have some questions as well from you guys. If you have any more, feel free to ask, because we're going to be wrapping up very soon. But let's answer the ones that we've got already. So Rafina says, is there a formal business development portion in the diploma? So great question. There are days. There is a jewelry business day, which covers like how to start your jewelry business, and it's kind of like a run through of everything for a jewelry business, and you can ask questions and get support. There's also a jewelry photography day. This is in the creative 1 year diploma. And there are a couple of days that kind of support business but aren't specific business, like a history of jewelry day, which is really helpful for just giving context and kind of a bit more oomph to your work. So when you're working with clients and they ask you questions like, oh, where's this from? Or when was this technique developed? You're not there like, I don't know. You've kind of got the skills and experience. So there are elements of business. It isn't a business focused course, like the whole course. It's much more on making, but there's a lot of things that we do at the jewellery school and with our sister company to help that. So there are things that you can get involved in. And I think the other part about jewellery business is that although it's not always structured into the course, we're working with jewellers every week. So if a question comes up, you can ask them, So if you're starting your business alongside the diploma, which is something we encourage people to do, don't wait till the end and then be like, now I'll start a business. Start it at the same time, because then each week you can say, oh, I can't find the right insurer. Who do you guys use? And we can say, oh, this is who we use. And so you get that constant feedback. And there's lots of online courses and support and resources, which we'll be able to tell you more about, because you'll be more involved in everything. So there's some formal stuff, but then there's a lot of other stuff to get involved in around business. There is also a separate course called the Jewellery Business Bootcamp, which is a 7-day course all about business, which is just, we do that once a year. So and quite a few diploma students come on that, often like towards the end of the diploma, but sometimes in the middle, if they know that business is something that they're really focused on, then there's ways to top up your training on that as well. Then Anna asked, do you cover stone setting with the silver clay?
Yes.
Anna,
yes. The answer to that is yes. If you do the creative diploma, you do quite a fair amount of metal clay. I'm a metal clay tutor, for those who don't know, so that's why I'm jumping in really quickly. Yes, you do the beginner's metal clay, you do the stone setting, you do ring making, you do adding gold to metal clay. So yes, it is something that is covered, stone setting.
Yeah, it's
but
fun.
Not in the silver diploma, it's in the creative diploma.
Yeah. Great, thank you for the question.
Thanks, Anna.
A question about the 1 year jewellery diploma. Is there another start date? I think, Anna, you might have answered this already. September. So they normally start in January and September, and the intensives are in June or July.
To just say one thing on this, I mean, we don't want people to be missing sessions, so we'll just say that now. But sometimes someone's ill or there's something already booked. What we would try to do is, if not like for the whole diploma, but if there are like 1 or 2 dates that you couldn't do, we fit you into other classes. So, if you do have to have time off, which is, it's not ideal, but if we have to, we can actually do that. So it would depend like when you come back and when you could start, as to whether we could fit you in if you wanted to start in January. So that would be something it would be worth maybe giving us a call about tomorrow, if you really want to have a chat about it with Murray.
Yeah, definitely. Sounds good. And then Rafina has asked, do you still have the level 3 diploma in jewelry manufacturing? So no, we've never had that. That's not one of ours. No, these are the 3. These are the only 3 we've ever had. So yeah. But you can find out more about any of the diplomas on the Jewellery Diploma website. We'll also send you the replay of this if there's anything you want to catch, and we'll send you the slides. And yeah, if you have any questions, we're available to answer. Final question for Sally before we go. Ooh, what can the final question be? Have you got one, Anna? Put you on the spot.
I guess I'd say, what advice would you give to those people who are still watching after an hour and a quarter?
Get live.
You're obviously very interested, but what advice would you give them about the diploma and their thinking about it?
I do genuinely understand that it is a huge commitment, and I think that's the first thing to say on it. I think it's so far beyond a hobby decision. But if you've got the feel for jewellery, if it's something you want to do, it is the best way to get a feel for jewellery. You know, you're not spending an awful lot of money on one area to then discover you're not into it or you don't like it. So yes, it is a big commitment. It is a big decision. If you're really into doing this, it's the best course there is, which sounds like a real plug, which it is. That's what it really was great. So accepting the fact that it's a big commitment, I would advise go for it. Go for it if you can. I really would.
Yeah, and I think that's part of it. It is, we've said it, but it is about having that dedicated day, that dedicated time where you know this is what I do. And if you don't have that, it's so easy to do 2 weeks, 3 weeks without going to your bench or without doing your work.
It really, really is, which is why I said it's not a hobby decision. I suppose that's the way I encapsulated that. But whilst you are there, nothing else can touch you for that short while. Switch off your phone and do it. It's glorious.
Thanks, Sally.
Thank you. There was one final question that's just come in from Rafina. Do you provide help in progressing with industry experience like work experience? So for this one, there's not structured work experience involved in it. So it's not a requirement of the course, but we do often have people go and do work experience, and we often help to set it up as well. So it's a kind of...
Did you do some for the advanced?
I was going to say the advanced, yes, which was fabulous because you get an inside track and you get to observe and practical, actually. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And you've got a bit more confidence to go and say, yes, I can do that, as opposed to, I'll just stand here at the back. It was great. So advanced, yes.
Yeah, certainly we have contacts and we can help people. It's not part of the course, but because we're in Hatton Garden, it's certainly something we can help people with, kind of organising. So,
yeah. Sorry, I wanted to ask you, Sally, where you did your work experience.
I did a bit at Just Castings. So because I have done quite a lot of cast work, I was really intrigued to know, well, what it actually is. I'd read the papers, I'd given over my wax, but I was taken through the whole experience, and it was brilliant. I then went to a setter, somebody who I'd met actually during the diploma, the original creative diploma, and just shadowed and just watched that, because I think, like that initial thing, like soldering, early days, setting for me is still my fear area. You know, you can waste a lot of money pinging those around the kitchen, as I've discovered.
Diamonds, or another diamond, off we go.
One day, the cat fur.
One day you'll find it all, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that's something we can help you with, is the work experience, but it's not compulsory. So if it's something you want to get involved in, we can certainly help. And there was also a question, do I need to have done the other diplomas to do the advanced diploma? You don't, but you do need to be at the same level. So you need to have done a similar course somewhere else, or have trained in all those kind of areas. So if you're new to jewelry making, then you would need to do the diploma before the advanced one. And we screen people for that to make sure that it's, because you would not want to do the advanced diploma if you're new to jewelry making. You wouldn't get anywhere with it. It would just be not a fun time. So you're welcome.
Yeah. If you were interested in doing advanced, go straight to advanced. It would be great to give us a call, and we can talk a little bit about your experience and whether that would be the right fit for you. We don't want people to go on the course that isn't the right course for them. So we're not here to just go just come and to the wrong people. So yeah, it's possible, but it would depend on your experience.
Wonderful. Well, thank you everyone for being here. Well done for those that stayed to the end. It was a bit longer than we thought, but that's because we just love talking about jewellery and diplomas and all those kind of things. Hopefully you've got all your answers, but we're always here. The Jewellery School's open 7 days a week, so you can call anytime and get your applications in. There are 140 people signed up and for this webinar, and there's only 8 places on each one. So I don't want anyone to miss out who wants to do it. So even if you're not sure yet, get an application in, because that just gets the ball rolling, and then you can make the decision before you press go, if that makes sense on it all. Brilliant. Thank you so much, Sally.
You're welcome. Good luck, people. Do it. It's good for you.
You are the first student who has come on live, so there we go.
Probably be the last.
The record. And thank you, Anna, as well, for joining us, diploma mentor, tutor.
Thanks everyone, it's been great, and thanks for all your questions and for staying with us.
Good job. All right, well, good night, have a good night, and we'll see you all very soon, hopefully, to some jewellery making. Bye for now.
No. Bye.